So welcome to our talk about wildlife rescue. My name's Tamsin. I'm the events coordinator at Majjistral Park. So everyone's muted currently, and we ask everybody to keep their microphone off to reduce sound interference, just for now. And we will have questions at the end of the session. So if you have anything you need to ask, we have time for that. If you do think of something in the meantime, you can pop it into the chat, and then I will ask our guest speaker to answer the question at the end. I spoke to you, so it is being recorded. So if you don't want to be in the recording, please keep your video off, or don't ask a question with your video on. And it should last around about an hour with the questions. So I'll introduce our guest speaker now. So her name's Angelique Lofaro, and she's the General Secretary for Nature Trust Malta, and she's also the Senior Volunteer for the Wildlife Rescue Team. So the Wildlife Rescue Team is mainly, well, all made up of volunteers actually, so that's a lot of dedication from everybody who works for the Wildlife Rescue Team. And I thought this month would be a good month to cover this topic, because May is the start of the turtle nesting season, so it's quite exciting as we had so many nests last year, so we're hoping for a few nests this year as well, but it does require a lot of work from the Wildlife Rescue Team. So I'll hand over to Angelique now. Thank you, Angelique.
Hi, thank you very much. Oops, sorry, my cat has just decided to jump up. Thank you very much for organizing this online talk. We believe that the more that we increase awareness and education about what goes on, what we do, how our wildlife are being affected, the more people are able to help out with their own little modification in lifestyle. So I'm gonna share my screen because I've prepared a presentation. There are a lot of pictures as well. Okay, so what is the Wildlife Rescue Team? The Wildlife Rescue Team is a branch of Nature Trust Malta. We are all volunteers. Basically, we are people who really want to help animals, that we realize that, especially with wildlife, there are some natural injuries and diseases, but the absolute majority of injuries are caused by human activity. So we believe that the least we can do is to try and help treat these injuries. Basically, we do rescues and rehabilitation of injured wildlife which are protected under Maltese law, except for birds, and also rescue and rehabilitation of orphaned wildlife babies. At the moment, we have started already with the peak of baby hoglets, and then as summer comes in, we'll have a lot of vet pups as well. So those take a lot of time because those need bottle feeding, and it has to be done every 2-3 hours. All our volunteers are covered with an ERA permit to handle wildlife. Since they are protected animals, they are not supposed to be sort of picked up. They're not supposed to be taken in one's home. So we are covered with an ERA permit to be able to do these things. ERA also funds our vets, the medicines that we need to administer, and the food. So which animals fall under the Wildlife Rescue Team? We usually distinguish between the marine and the terrestrial animals. So with regards to marine, the absolute majority of the calls we receive are for turtles, either entangled, injured turtles that are seen floating or who are washed ashore, dead turtles, or then the nesting turtles and the hatchlings. We also get calls about dolphins. With dolphins, it's a little bit more complicated, especially if they are still out to sea. Usually, the ones we get closer to land, unfortunately, are all dead. With regards to terrestrial animals, the bulk, absolute bulk of calls we get are for hedgehogs. They are very cute. Sometimes you do get the odd ugly hedgehog, but most of them, looking at them, they are really, really cute. However, they are one of the dirtiest animal I have ever witnessed. So they look cute, but then they're not so cute. We also have a lot of calls about snakes, all four of the Maltese species. However, the Algerian whip snake is very rare. I think in the 5 years I've been with the rescue team, we've only had 2 calls about the Algerian whip snake. The leopard snake is also common, but by far the most common calls about snakes that we get are for the cat snake and the western whip snake. We also get calls about chameleons, and we also get a lot of calls about bats. With bats, what we see is the perception that it's a baby. However, a bat like that is an adult. An adult will only be this big. A baby will be this big. So usually when we get a call and they tell us it's a baby bat, most of the time it will be an adult bat. Other terrestrial animals that also fall under our responsibility are the Maltese painted frog, the Maltese wild rabbit, the skink, the shrew, and the Maltese weasel. The Maltese weasel is, in our experience, it's very rare that we get calls about them, and usually when we do, they are either severely injured or severely ill. Skinks, most of the time, the injuries we encounter, unfortunately, are because they are caught by cats. With shrews, most of the time, it's because they go into houses and people at first think they are mice, then they post on Facebook, they are told that they are shrews, they are protected, and then they call us. With the rabbits, just like the weasel, most of the time they are very severely ill when we receive calls about wild rabbits. With the frogs, most of the calls are for relocation, either because they're found where they're not supposed to be found. Um, I remember last year we had a call from someone who found about 30 frogs in his garage, and then he realized that there were open spaces in the wall of his garage, and they were coming from a pond behind his house. So his garage was getting full and full of frogs. So that was more a capture and relocation, or when there's a threat either because of a spill of chemicals close to where there are frogs. So then we relocate them to somewhere a bit safer until the situation is cleared. So how does the wildlife rescue team work? Basically, we have an emergency line, which is 9999 9505. Basically, a very easy way to remember it is 5 9s and then SOS. The 505 is like SOS. Once a call comes in, who is taking care of the rescue line at the time takes the caller's details and the animal's details, and that call is lodged in a WhatsApp chat between the volunteers. Once that is lodged, the first volunteer who is available at the time, sort of post that they'll be calling for that caller, and we call and coordinate exactly the location, exactly what animal, what the situation is, because obviously if it's a snake, it's different than if it's a hedgehog or a bat. You will need different equipment, you will need different carry boxes. So we take all the details, the location, and we go. Please remember, we are all volunteers. So there might be a time when you call us and none of us are available within that hour. Um, we are either because we are at work or because of other commitments that we have. However, we do always follow up and come and collect the animal. Once we come, we assess the animal. Sometimes it's a very straightforward rescue and release. Most commonly with snakes or shrews, where they go into people's houses, most of the time it's just we go, we collect the animal, and we release it in the wild on the same day. If it's a baby, it's taken to one of the volunteers for rehab. If it's injured, then it's taken to one of our vets. I also want to make a note here that even the vets who take care of our animals need to have an ERA permit to handle the wildlife and treat the wildlife. In fact, we do have sometimes calls from other vets that someone would have dropped in an injured hedgehog or an injured snake, and they call us because they don't have the permit, and we go pick them up and take them to one of our vets. What are the most common injuries we encounter? I need to warn you that the following pictures, and there's also a video, are a little bit graphic. I can't describe an injury without actually showing. And I think that unless people see the reality, it's very difficult for someone to then modify their behavior in trying to prevent and help these animals. So those of you who are a little bit squeamish, just be careful and maybe look away if you see that the picture is too graphic. So with regards to turtles, the most common injuries that we have are either turtles found at sea or that are ashore that have lines. I don't know if you can see from the picture, there's fishing lines coming out of the mouth. Sometimes they are coming out of the backside, and sometimes they are coming out of both sides. So in this case, it is very, very, very important that no one pulls these strings or cuts them. There are specific reasons why. So if there's a hook at the end of that string, the intestines are a very soft tissue. So if there's a hook and you pull, basically you will see the line coming out, and you might actually even get the hook come out. What you don't see that's going on inside is as you're pulling, you're shredding. And the internal injuries caused, you will not see them, but they can actually lead to the turtle's death. So if you encounter a turtle at sea or ashore with lines coming out of the mouth or the back or both, please do not pull on those lines. Another very common encounter we have with injured turtles is entanglement with fishing gear and ropes and fishing lines. These two turtles are two different ones. This one is Joan. At the moment, she is in our rehab center because with the line that was cutting into her throat, she had an infection and she's being treated for it. This one, unfortunately, was found too late, and it was already dead. But it basically got strangled. The lines around her throat were so tight that it basically was strangled. Then we also have some turtles that come in with both heads. As you can see, there's a crack on the shell. Once they are hit, there are a lot of internal injuries that go on. If we manage to find the turtle freshly hit, the vet might be able to treat the turtle. It depends on how bad the hit is, because sometimes the injuries are so bad that no matter what you do, you are not able to save the turtle. But what I can tell you is that we do every single possible thing we can to save the animals in our care. Common injuries with hedgehogs. I've divided them into natural injuries and injuries caused by human activities. So these are natural injuries. The first one is currently in rehab. We called him Mr. Baldy. Basically, he had a severe mite infection and allergy to tick bites, and he lost all his spines. So, as he is right now, he can't be released because obviously the protection that hedgehogs have with their spines, he's lost all of it. We are monitoring him and hoping that hopefully in about 3 months he will have started to grow the spines again. The spines are like our nails, so even when we sort of have an injury and the nail falls off, then it starts growing again. So we are just waiting patiently for Mr. Baldy to start growing spines back again. The hedgehog in the middle has a tumor. Um, it was quite an invasive tumor. It didn't affect just the leg, but it also affected the abdomen. And in these cases, it's more humane to euthanize the animal and put them out of their misery rather than, just keeping them alive for the sake of keeping them alive for a couple of weeks or months. So yes, we do try to save the animals, but in certain situations, um, well, they have the privilege that we can, take them out of their misery. So in cases like this, we do take that option. The hedgehog on the right looks like a camel, and that's basically an abscess under the skin. So in that case, we take to the vets. Usually they try and open the access to release all the pus that there is underneath. Then we give an antibiotic treatment, a course just like for humans, for about 7 to 10 days. If the hedgehog recovers well from that, then it's released back into the wild. Now that summer is approaching, we get a lot of hedgehogs with fly strike. It looks like yellow, not powder, like teeny, 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 tiny rice grains. And basically, those are the eggs of flies. Um, Flies are very able to detect when an animal is weak. So if it's dehydrated or underfed, undernourished, they will go on that hedgehog and lay their eggs. Also, when they have an open wound, the flies will smell that blood and they will just go in, zone in on that injury and lay their eggs. The faster we find them, the better, because with fly strike, it's a ticking time bomb until they hatch into maggots. Once they hatch into maggots, if they're still on the surface, it's not so much of a problem because we can remove them and treat. But if they burrow deep down, then they cause a lot of damage, especially if they are um, like from both ears and they really, really dig in. Or if it's an open wound and they dig into the abdominal cavity, then they cause a lot of damage. And in certain cases, we do have to put the animal to sleep in these instances. In the middle, there are two baby hoglets. Yes, they are very cute, but being so small in size and having the spikes being so big, they actually hurt more than the adults because they also pulsate when you try to pick them up. And to give them the bottle, you need to pick them up, you need to handle them, and sometimes they can be very stubborn animals. But then once they get used to, all right, if this person is picking me up is because she wants to give me the milk, then they do start sort of relaxing a little bit around you. Then the challenge is to not domesticate them because you're handling them frequently to give them the bottle. But then you need, when they start growing up, you need to remove that domestication and let the wild instinct come back again. And that takes quite a bit of time. Usually, to release them, we have to make sure that they are over 300 grams and that they are able to crush snails on their own, that they preferentially eat the natural food like fruits, vegetables, insects over cat food. By the end, before release, they would have been off any type of cat food for at least 3 weeks and just being exclusively on insects, fruits, and vegetables. The one on the right, now we start going into the injuries caused by human activities. By far, with human activity injury in hedgehogs, it's the strimmer injuries, the grass cutting strimmer injuries. They, they cause massive damage to hedgehogs. We've had hedgehogs picked up completely with legs amputated. We've had hedgehogs picked up with nearly decapitated. Hedgehogs sleep during the day. They are nocturnal animals. So once sunrise is approaching, they will find a place where they feel sheltered to go and sleep. Most of the time, this is underneath bushes. It's close to rubble walls if there is grass. So then we go in the morning and we go with these grass cutters and start trimming all the grass, and the hedgehog is there asleep and just gets sometimes it's really, really bad. The following images are of really bad strimmer injuries. So anyone who doesn't want to see blood, please look away now. As you can see, injury can be quite severe. In the case of these two hedgehogs, the skin was completely sheared off. There is no way that a hedgehog like this would be able, it will grow skin again, but that skin will not be able to grow spines again. We still tried to treat both these hedgehogs. Basically, we wanted to see if they would be able to survive and be also our mascot and show exactly how bad certain injuries can be, but both of them did not survive the injuries. The one here on the right, it was a very clean, straight cut. So we started antibiotics from the vet, and the vet even tried surgery to stitch the hedgehog up, but then necrosis set in and the hedgehog passed away as well. So with strimmer injuries, it's very rare that we manage to save a hedgehog with strimmer injuries. The following video is also very graphic. It's a strimmer injury where fly strike had happened and they had already hatched into maggots. So who's squeamish, please look away. As you can see, they go in very deep. These are the big maggots. They haven't just hatched. These have been feeding there for a very long time. We removed all of them. There were about 300, 400 maggots from that wound. We started antibiotics, but the hedgehog passed away after 3 days. So yes, we do try our best, but sometimes it's not. Then nature sort of takes its course as well. So with other animals, well, with chameleons, the most common injuries we get are either cat bites or dog bites, and sort of we get the either puncture wounds or the skin a little bit sheared off. But if it's not a major injury, usually they do recover. With bats, we have different types of presentations. In this case, there you can see there's a very, very tiny hole in the tail part. Sometimes it's not just a tiny hole, sometimes it's a bigger hole or a complete tear. Usually those are because they would have been caught by other animals, mostly, unfortunately, by cats. I love cats, but yes, I see the damage that they do to our wildlife. So yes, it's a bit sad to see this. Sometimes we also, either when it's very, very strong wind or during fireworks season, if the fireworks are very powerful, when you get either the gusts of the strong wind or the explosion of the firework, if the bats are already out flying, sometimes they get sort of pushed um, on buildings, and we find them either dazed or sort of disorientated on the floor, on pavements, in gardens, etc. Usually, with a few days, couple of weeks of rehab, they do manage to sort of get back in shape and they are released back in the same location where they were picked up. With snakes, if it's not a relocation because they have entered someone's house, usually it's because they would have gotten stuck in something. They would have gone in to eat a prey inside the object, and then they would have gotten stuck and not able to get out of the object. Sometimes it's beer cans, sometimes it's pipes. So yes, obviously, if we clean behind ourselves when we go in the countryside, they won't have any beer cans to get stuck in. But so that is something that we all definitely can help towards. It's not just the snakes, even skinks get stuck inside beer cans and other human litter. So yes, it might not be our rubbish, but once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. At least for me, that's how it is. And once I'm out, I always, always, always have garbage bags with me. And once I'm out and I see something, I just pick up and put in the garbage bag. So, what should you do or not do when you encounter an injured animal? So, the first step is to call our emergency number, and then it depends on what the animal is. So if it's a turtle, if it's on land and you see that it is alive, if you have a towel with you, it would be beneficial to wet it with seawater and cover the turtle with it so that it helps to prevent dehydration. If it's in the sea, take coordinates and let us know whether it appears stuck to something or whether it is uh, floating freely, because that will sort of change how we respond to it. Because if it's stuck to something which is immobile, it will remain the same coordinates, so it's much easier to find it. If it's floating freely, it depends how badly injured it is, because if it's not really putting up a fight, we'll have to see where the currents are on that day, how strong the currents are, so then we see how it's moving. If it's entangled but swimming, then it's very, very difficult to find it after 30 minutes, an hour, until we find someone who can get us out with a boat or something. It takes time. We do have uh, people, just who are out on their personal boat for leisure, and fishermen who, when they find a turtle which is entangled but free, that they do pick it up, put it on their boat, not touch anything on the turtle, and sort of meet us on shore themselves. That for us, I think, is the fastest way, because it sort of helps us. It prevents us from having to find an available boat to go out. If it's dolphins, dolphins are mammals, so any disease that a dolphin has can be spread to humans because we are mammals as well. So if it's a dolphin and it's on the shore, keep it within visible distance to you, but don't get too close. If it's at sea, the same. Take GPS coordinates and let us know whether if it's floating freely or if it's dead and floating or if it's entangled and stuck. Here I want to give one piece of advice. Dolphins are very strong animals. If it's stuck, please do not try to go in yourselves alone, because if you get hit by a dolphin's tail, you can get severely hurt. And if you're alone and you're hurt and in the sea, you can be in danger yourself then. So, yes, I know that people want to help, but please, everyone's safety first. These are wild animals, and their first instinct is to defend themselves. So please, please, especially if it's a dolphin, don't try to go in yourself, especially to try and remove entanglement. So with terrestrial animals, we advise to, if possible, not handle too much. It can cause more injuries if you don't know how to handle the animal. And as I said, they are wild animals. Their first instinct is to defend themselves. They are not meant, they don't like showing themselves to us. So for us to see them in that state is because they are quite weak. And the first instinct they will do to defend themselves is bite. So, yes, call us if you have gloves or a towel and you can put it in a contained area. Yes, because even a very severely injured animal will still try to walk away. So, if you call us and you tell us it's next to that rubble wall in that street, usually by the time we go, if it's not being monitored to see that it's still there, usually they're gone completely. And no matter how much we try and look for them in that area, you don't find them. If you find babies, never, ever, ever give cow's milk. Both hoglets and bed pups are lactose intolerant. And if we give them cow's milk, they get really, really bad diarrhea, which can cause dehydration and make it much more difficult for the hoglet or pup to recover. If you have water, yes, you can offer water and heat or shelter. And once you call us, if it's possible that you stay close until we get to you, it's better. If not, at least if it's in a contained box or something, it will help us. It will help us not to let the animal run away until we get there. Nesting season. This is the most exciting period of the year for us. In Malta, we get loggerheads, although in the sea we do get some sightings of leatherbacks and green turtles. With regards to nesting, we only get loggerhead nests. In the Mediterranean, the nesting season starts from May and keeps on going till August. And basically, what we do is our volunteers do night patrols and morning patrols. They have been trained. Uh, it's very important that the volunteers taking part in our patrols undergo training. You need to know what to look out for, you need to know what to do, what not to do, and therefore, in this case, training is mandatory. Basically, we monitor 6 beaches. We have Ramla al Hamra in Gozo, and then in Malta we have Marsa Scala, which started being patrolled this year after we had a nest, an unnoticed nest last year. We also patrol Jneina, Riviera, Golden Sands, and Adira. Basically, we focus on those bays, on those beaches where we've had nests. Although Riviera, we've never had a nest, the entry into Jneina, Riviera, and Golden Sands is the same. So, although they are technically different beaches, since the entry point is the same one, a turtle can choose to go in either of the three. In the GPS coordinates inside the turtle's head, they are for her they are the same area. So we still monitor Riviera even though we never had nests over there. If you encounter a turtle coming up to nest on the beach, call the emergency line immediately. And if you've seen one of our volunteers, patrolling with the red light, go and call them, because they will be trained to know what to do as well. If she's coming up next to you and you are having a picnic, please remove any object that is in her way. Inside the sea, inside the water, turtles are quite agile. Outside of the water, they are very, very clumsy. And once they come up over here, they will just keep on walking over here. They will not, really know how to go around objects. So if there's something in its way, it will just bump into it. Please do not shine white light in the turtle's direction, because it can disorientate her, and it can also cause her to abandon the nesting attempt. If she feels that there is too much light, she will just go back into the sea without laying the nest. Don't make loud noises. The same. They can startle her, they can disorientate her, and make her feel threatened, and sort of make her feel that that beach is not ideal, and she will abandon the attempt and go back into the sea without laying the eggs. And obviously, please do not touch the turtle. Remember, a nesting turtle is like a woman in labor. Just give her space. Also, being protected, we're not unless you have a permit, you're not supposed to touch and handle turtles. Um, uh, but obviously, if you're there and you're seeing a nesting turtle, please do enjoy the experience, because for us here in Malta, it's not so common to have turtle nests, so it is a once in a lifetime experience for a lot of people. What will you see us do when there's a nesting turtle? So obviously, whilst she's nesting, we do not shine any white light, we do not touch her, but one of the coordinators, you might see them just going behind her very, very slowly, and just to confirm that she is laying eggs. We will not be touching her, we'll just look in the hole that she would have dug to see if eggs are being laid, and then we'll move back and sort of let her finish. Once the turtle has finished nesting and has camouflaged and um, um, uh, hidden the eggs again, and she's making her way back to the sea, then you will see us that we will approach the turtle for data collection. So what we will be doing is measuring the turtle, mostly the carapace size, because that will determine how old the turtle is. We will be taking note of any particular characteristics that are on the carapace of the turtle, any injuries that there are, that unique identifiers, so that if we encounter that nesting turtle again, we'll know that it's the same one. We will also be checking if the turtle is microchipped, and if it's not microchipped, we have ERA permits to microchip the turtle ourselves, and that will also in future help us to identify if it's the same returning turtle or not, because once you scan and you get the chip reading, if it's the same chip that you have inserted, you know that it's the same turtle. Please, it's very important that these tasks are only permitted to the coordinators who have the ERA permits to carry them out. So even if you see, I don't know, people on Facebook commenting because after the turtle laid the nest that the volunteers were touching her, these are steps which are approved by ERA for us to do. We will not be doing something that is not permitted. Once that a nest is confirmed, we start the 24/7 protection. Basically, in Malta, they are still something new, so people still don't know how to behave around turtle nests. And there a lot of people still, want to go wherever they want on the beach. And we've had a lot of times people telling us that because that's my spot. Well, the turtle decided to lay the nest over there, and now it's the turtle spot. Basically, we provide the protection because to reduce the vibrations, to reduce possibility of trampling over the nest site, because the more you trample above the egg chamber, the more the sand gets compacted, the more the eggs get compacted, and that reduces the chances of the hatchlings hatching successfully. In fact, what happened last year in Marsa Scala, because no one knew that a nest was there. I don't, I mean, believe me, I don't blame the people because everyone wants to enjoy the beach. And if you don't know that there's something, you don't know that you are doing harm. But what happened was that the sand was so compacted, the hatchlings managed to get out of the eggs, but they didn't manage to get out of the sand and they died suffocated under the sand. So that's why we protect nests when we confirm that one is present. Turtles are in danger, their numbers are going down. So anything we can do to try and increase their numbers is beneficial. Out of all the hatchlings that make it to the sea, only 1% make it to adulthood. So even though last year we had 315 hatchlings, we're lucky if three of them make it to reproductive age. So that is why we protect as much as possible any nests. Closer to the time when they are due to hatch, we prepare what we call the runway. Abroad, they don't really do it, but a lot of nesting beaches don't have light pollution, so they don't need to prepare the runway. Locally, all the nesting beaches have a lot of light pollution, and if we don't do this runway, once they hatch and they start being hit by all the light around them, they will just start going ever which way they find, and that causes, first of all, it causes them to become dehydrated if they can find the sea. And also, if they start spreading so much, it's also very difficult for us to help guide them towards the sea. We are not allowed to pick up hatchlings unless it's really, really, really necessary, um, for different reasons. First of all, they are wired to just go, go, go. Once they hatch, they are wired to go, get in the sea, and just swim. And if we pick them up and they get warm with with our hands, it might sort of cause them to go a little bit limp and not sort of swim as much as they need to when they get into the sea. Also, on their body, nature is really wonderful. Like, they have tiny pockets of food to sort of carry them on for the first 3 days in the sea. You don't see these pockets of food, and if you pick them up not in the right way, you can actually burst these pockets and you compromise their survival of the first 3 days. And also, we have oils on our skin that can actually harm them. So unless unless you see a hatchling that really needs help, we do not touch them, and we have to guide them towards the sea if they are getting disorientated with red light, because white light sort of um, startles them a bit. They've just opened their eyes for the first time, so seeing a bright white light blinds them. With the red light, they do see the red light, they will follow, but it doesn't bother them. So that's why we go with red lights. And then we get the excitement of the hatching. After 2 months of waiting, when you see that sign that the hatching is happening, it's a very, very exciting time for us. First of all, everyone will be curious to see how many hatchlings come out. Sometimes you get the whole nest coming out in one night and then nothing for the following 2 nights. And then sometimes, you get some others which are a little bit more lazy and they're coming out after the others. So it's always really an exciting time and a curious time when they hatch. In the morning after, it's always really nice to see their crawl patterns in the sand. Um, Sometimes it helps us to really see how bad they were confused with the light pollution. For example, one nest last year, I was monitoring the hatchlings that are coming out of the actual nesting chamber, and I was hearing volunteers tell me they're coming back, but I wasn't really registering what that meant until I'm looking at the nest, and all of a sudden, the hatchlings that had gone out all started returning back to the nest because there was white light behind the nest, and sort of they got confused and they turned and were going towards that white light. So yes, we try to reduce light pollution as much as possible towards hatching time, but it's next to impossible to remove all the light pollution that there is on the beaches locally. I will finish off by letting you watch this video, which was of our last nest in Adira. Very, very, very surprisingly and unusual. It hatched at 5:30 in the afternoon when it was still light. You will see us picking up a hatchling from this nest. Basically, what happened was that we had seen the evidence of the hatching 5 days prior to when they actually hatched. And the first turtle that came up was really, really tired and really dehydrated. And it wasn't moving. In fact, initially we thought it was dead. And then when we saw the flipper moving, we said, okay, this hatchling needs help. So we removed it. We were giving it water treatment with seawater. The hatchling recuperated within minutes, and it was sort of put back next to the others for her crawl towards the sea. But yes, seeing them, first you see one and then two, and then all of a sudden it's like a volcano eruption, and it's an incredible sight to see. So I just let you see the video in peace, and then we'll answer questions after. So that's it from my side. Please do take note of our emergency number, and let's see if we have any questions.
Thank you so much, Angelique. It really covered so many good points, and it pretty much, I think, answers so many questions that we have about injuries with wildlife. So, and what a treat to watch that video at the end. That was amazing.
Yes, it's always very emotional seeing them just go to the sea. It's always so emotional.
So good. Thank you for that. So yeah, does anybody have any questions? You don't have to switch your video on. You can just leave it off and just ask us.
You can also post in the chat if you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. I think you did cover it in a lot of detail. So
yes.
You said you had the figures for how many rescues there were, and like just as an example in 1 month. It might be interesting to know.
Well, it varies from month to month. Some months are a little bit more quiet. sometimes some months are much more busy. But uh, just this year, between January and April, we had 217 calls.
Wow.
So yes, it's a lot of calls.
Yeah, and that requires a lot of volunteers, and so you're always needing people to come and volunteer with the wildlife rescue team.
Yes, we do have a limited number of permits, but then volunteers who are not participating in the rescues will have their permit revoked and make space for other people who are interested. But yes, people who choose to contact us to become part of the wildlife rescue team have to be prepared to see these injuries in person and handle these animals, because no, we don't get, we do, I mean, when we get the hoglets or the babies, you get the cute, but when you get the adults with injuries, um, you get the maggots, you get the fly strike, you get the blood. So people have to be prepared to collect these animals.
Yeah, it can be upsetting, can't it? There's people have posted some questions. So
Okay,
someone's asking, how often does the same female lay eggs? And she also says, thanks a lot for the extremely interesting talk.
thank you. So in a nesting season, if the conditions are right, that the female turtle is finding enough food, is finding enough mates, and she's close to the nesting beach, the same female can lay a nest 3 to 5 times in one nesting season. We are analyzing the DNA from the eggs of last year, because then after a nest has hatched, we obviously, after the first night of hatching, we wait another 2 nights, and then on the third day we excavate the nest. And last year we obtained permits for DNA analysis of the nest that we had, and we're waiting on those results, because those will show us if we've had any nests with the same mummy, or related, and hopefully in future years, with more data being collected, we'll be able to say, we have this particular turtle that's a returning turtle, that she comes every year, every 2 years, every 3 years to lay nests. And that will, and also in like 30 years time, 35 years time, if we continue with these DNA analysis, we'll be able to say, okay, so this mummy is a hatchling from Golden Sands of 2020. So that is something which definitely will be of interest. We don't have the data yet, so but yes, the same female can lay 3 to 5 nests in the same season if the conditions are right.
Wow, that's a lot, isn't it?
And remember, every time it's between 80 and 120 eggs, so it's a very lot.
So much hard work for the females.
Yes.
Somebody else has asked, what's the worst case you've had of hurt animals?
I think the worst one we've seen was a hedgehog which had all 4 legs completely amputated with a strimmer. It was still alive, it was still trying to walk, but that was horrible. That we had to definitely euthanize. It was horrible to witness. And you see them, that they're trying, but that they are suffering. So for me, I think that was the worst one we had. And obviously with the turtles, um, when you see them all entangled, and then you take to the vet, and when he starts removing the entanglement, you see that the limb, the flipper, is completely dead and nearly amputated, and uh, that is also very, very, very disheartening. And with one missing flipper, they do manage to survive. We had Maggie, which had 3 missing flippers because of entanglement in debris. And when she came, we immediately realized that with just the one flipper, this turtle cannot be released back to the wild. And she was doing very well, but she passed away last month. So yes, unfortunately, um, these things do happen as well.
Oh, that's so sad about Maggie.
Yeah,
I was just about to mention her, but I couldn't remember her
she
name.
was our mascot.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. And as you say, like you can euthanize animals. So like if that has not with Maggie, obviously, but
No.
with animals that are in the worst case, like a severe injury, then I mean, at least you're stopping their suffering at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's so sad. So someone is asked, well, they've said thank you for this presentation, very interesting. Do we already have turtle nests?
Not yet. Last year, our first one was on Friday, 29th May. So now it's like a waiting game night after night to see if we have a nest. Sicily had their first nest. They noticed the first nest yesterday morning. So because before yesterday, Central Mediterranean, no one had nests as of yet. There were a lot of nests in the east Mediterranean, but center and west, no one had reported nests yet before yesterday in Sicily. So we do our patrols and we hope and wait for the first mummy to come up.
How many nests was it last year? Was it 10?
7.
7, yeah.
But we went from an average of 1 nest every 2 years to 7 in 1. So it was a very shocking increase for us.
Yeah, last year was crazy for turtles. Amazing though.
And crazy for me to coordinate everything.
Oh, thank goodness you do it though. So someone said, thanks a lot for this interesting information. I learnt new facts today, so that's good. Someone also said, hello, Angelique. Thank you for a very interesting talk. What kind of training do volunteers need to undertake? That's a good question.
Basically, well, it depends if it's for the nests or for the rescue team. If it's for the rescue team, we give training on how to handle the different types of animals, because obviously all need their particular mode of handling. And then for those volunteers who also do the rehab, we do the training of how to administer certain medications, because sometimes, especially with hedgehogs, it's easier to administer medications by injection, and not everyone is, um, willing to do it or comfortable doing it. So it depends on which area of the rescue team sort of you are involved. If it's for the turtle nests, if it's guarding the nests once we confirm them for those 2 months until we wait for the hatching, there isn't a lot of training involved. It's basically you have to read the information that you're given, because most of our work in those 2 months is answering people's questions. So we give a comprehensive list of information about frequently asked questions and information in general about turtles, nesting, hatching, etc. If it's for the patrols, then it's a specific training to identify, especially for the morning patrols. The night patrols, most of the time you'll find the turtle on the beach. So it's more knowing what to do once you find the turtle on the beach. In the morning, it's knowing what to look out for, because you will not find the turtle on the beach, but you need to know how to identify a turtle nest. So it's different training for the different areas that one wants to get involved in. At the moment, for the patrols, we have the roster, which is already prepared up till the end of June, and up up till now, we don't have any more training sessions planned. But if we have requests by a number of people, then we will do another training session and include them either for June when someone drops out, or then from July onwards.
Okay, brilliant. And to volunteer, the best way to do it is to send an email to info@naturetrustmalta.org, right?
If it's for the rescue team, yes. If it's for the turtle nest, it's Angelique at naturetrustmalta.org.
Okay, great. So I put the info@ email in the chat further up,
Okay.
if anybody wants to take note of that. And obviously for different animals, there's also training for the wildlife rescue team, isn't there?
Sorry?
For different animals other than turtles, there's also training for that aspect to join the general rescues. So we have a few more messages. I'm not mentioning people's names just in case they don't want to be mentioned. So someone else saying, I love the presentation, thank you. Do you share information about nests and hatchlings with other organizations in other countries?
Yes, we share them with ERA immediately. In fact, even when we excavate a nest, we are always together, Nature Trust and ERA. And then any data that we gather, we share between us, but we also, share it with other turtle organizations abroad, especially the other organizations in the Mediterranean. And it's interesting to see that last year, every single country had an exponential increase in the number of nests. We do think it's because of COVID, that because the beaches were quieter, the seas were quieter, no cruise ships, no boat parties. So sort of the turtles had a little, party of their own. We'll have to see what happens this year now. But last year, it wasn't just us, even like Florida, South America, everyone saw an exponential increase last year.
Which hopefully will lead to an exponential increase in the population numbers, hopefully.
Yes, but as I said, 1% makes it to adulthood. So at least last year was a boost in numbers.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's the next question kind of leads on from that. This person also said, thanks for an interesting talk. Is it a problem that so many people gather at the beach with restaurants being closed? And is it changing now when everything is opening up? I mean, that's a bit hard to predict. We don't know what people are going to do when everything opens up, whether the beaches will still stay so popular.
It's still, today is the third day that restaurants have been open up in the evening. Bars still haven't opened up again. So we think that once even bars open up, the numbers in the evening might reduce. I mean, we can coexist, and we should coexist. So people, yes, should still, enjoy the beach even in the evening and at night. But we can take these small personal measures that will help make the beaches more turtle friendly. So, for example, if you've been on the beach and you've had your day of fun, before you leave, if you've built a sandcastle, flatten it. If you've dug a hole to play in the hole, just fill it back up and make the beach flat again. Don't leave rubbish behind you. And if you're there after sunset and you have, your torch and your flashlight and your white light, if you can put a red filter around that white light, it would be ideal. But if not, put it down on the ground, on the sand, and shield it towards the sea, either with a cooler or a bag, so that at least, from the sea, there isn't that bright white light if a turtle is coming up. And obviously, like if you see one coming up in your direction, just move everything out of her way.
Yeah, and also with barbecues, I was just thinking, it's illegal to have certain barbecues that aren't gas barbecues on some beaches, but with burying charcoal under the sand, it's like that's going to be harmful to animals and harmful to people as well. So
Well, if charcoal is buried under the sand, a lot of people think that, it
it
sort of dies out
disintegrates.
immediately,
Yeah.
but it doesn't.
Mm.
And just like if we go walk on it barefoot, it would burn us. If a turtle comes up and she's digging right in that area to lay her nest, obviously she would get her rear flippers burnt as well. Um, yes, there are a lot of beaches where charcoal barbecues are not allowed, but gas barbecues are allowed if you get the permit. So I would encourage people to go in that route. But if you are going somewhere where charcoal barbecues are allowed, please, 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 do not bury, smoldering charcoal in the sand.
I mean, it's easy. You just take a certain container that you can put it in, and then just take it back with you. It's. I think so. We don't have any more questions so far, unless anybody wants to say anything. But I think you've covered all the questions, the answers, and so many different aspects about wildlife rescue. So thank you so much. This talk was recorded, so if you did miss the start of it, it's fine, and we'll make it available on the Majjistral Park website. I put a link further up in the chat. It's on the education tab, and there are recordings of other talks there as well. So somebody else has said, thanks, very interesting.
Thank you very much. I really hope everyone enjoyed it. Yes, there were some, macabre photos, but they needed to be shown.
Yeah, it's necessary sometimes, isn't it? And I'm going to volunteer for the wildlife rescue team. So if anybody else wants to join as well, there's lots of people saying thank you. Somebody said, where can we find, and then didn't finish the message. So I don't know if it's the talk or, Angelique's email and this recorded.
All right, so I'm gonna type my email in the chat, okay?
Okay, great, thank you. And I'll just put
okay. So anyone who wants to contact me, there's my email, please feel free. You can also we have our wildlife rescue Facebook page, so you can also follow us over there for updates on our rehabbed animals and releases. Any turtle nests that we have, we'll be posting updates on that page as well.
Okay, brilliant. And it's always fun to see videos and photos of turtles. So
even the releases, because those are the nice part of the rescue and rehab, when you've treated an animal and it's back in full health and you can release it back into the wild.
Yeah, definitely. And you can sponsor a turtle as well, can't you, with Nature Trust? So
yes.
Yeah, that's worth doing. I can vouch for that. Great experience. Okay, so if nobody else has any questions, I think we can finish up there and let Angelique have a rest after a brilliant talk. Thank you so much for doing this online talk with us, because I think it's a good talk to have in the series. Wildlife rescue is really important.
And thank you, Majjistral Park, for having us and for helping us raise awareness about our work as well.
Okay, you're very welcome. It's well worth it. We all need to do our best to protect nature as much as possible. That's what I believe, and we believe.
True.
Okay, so thanks very much, everybody. Have a good rest of the evening, and yeah, we'll see you around soon, hopefully. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Angelique. Much appreciated.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Just waiting to hear the thank yous now. Thanks, everyone. Bye. I'll end the meeting now for everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Tamsin.
Bye, Angelique. Thank you.